Welcome back to DIY with KB. My name is Kiva and I teach people how to achieve the luxe look for less. In today's video, we're talking all about how to achieve that luxury hotel room look right at home. And we're doing that using an exclusive peek at the newly renovated hotel rooms at the Bellagio Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. Before we get into today's video, please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and check me out on Instagram. Now let's get into today's video. The first way to achieve the luxury hotel room look at home is to opt for a shower instead of a shower-bath combo. Here at Bellagio, what they decided to do is get rid of that combination and go for full marble showers. It has actually helped make the space feel so much larger, and that's exactly what you want to do in a bathroom. You want the space to feel open and inviting and not cramped in like a place that you just don't want to be in. What they really did here is they did an all marble white shower, which makes it really, really nice and big and open. But what they also did is they actually used glass instead of a shower curtain. That's also an adjustment I encourage you to make, because when you have that glass, you have the illusion that the entire space is open. But when you have a shower curtain, there is a really clear definition between inside of the shower and the outside of the shower. It just makes the space feel really small, but this way light is able to penetrate every single inch of that room, and it just looks so light and airy. The really interesting thing about hotel rooms is they're not big. You're dealing with really, really small square footage. So you have to be really, really intentional with your decisions, because the slightest details can make a huge difference in how people perceive the space. When you walk into this bathroom, it feels grand. There's so much light, it's so white and airy, and that's because, again, they eliminated that step up that you would have to do to get into the shower, so it looks like one continuous space, and it feels really nice and open because they did the glass instead of the shower curtain. These are things that you can really easily do, and this is actually something that I did in my own home. And this is an update you can make really affordably, because you can actually order glass doors from places like Lowe's, Home Depot, and even Wayfair. They ship right to your home, and all you have to do is get a good bit so that you can drill into that granite or marble, and you are good to go. The next way to achieve the luxury hotel look at home is to make sure that your spaces are multifunctional. This is something that is super important right now given the pandemic, but it's also just practical. You want to be able to use your dining room for multiple things, your living room for multiple things. If every room has its own designation, you feel really uncomfortable when you can't do what you need to do in that specific place. But in a hotel room, this is a place where people are working, they're playing, they're spending time with family, they're eating. They're using this one room for so many different things, so the designers had to be really intentional with the things that they put in the space. I actually had a really unique opportunity to actually talk to the head designers of this project from the Gettys Group, which is a phenomenal interior design firm based in Chicago. And this is what they had to say about multifunctional spaces.
Going back to the dining area in the guest room, that can really be used as a dining table. We added like a little round ottoman that can be either pulled over to the sofa area, or that can be pulled over to the dining area. But we also incorporated kind of a task light at the dining table, and connectivity, so somebody could also work there on their laptop. Mm-hmm. In the king guest room, at the sofa, the coffee table isn't like a typical 18-inch high coffee table. It's like at 23 inches. So again, somebody could sit there, either eat dinner there, or work on their laptop. But kind of thinking of kind of flexibility and multi-use of different spaces.
And a lot of people call those different things, and that's something, I have in my home and I love. Some people call them tea height, some people call them international height, but that is a really great table height to make a space multifunctional in a residence.
The next way to achieve that luxury hotel look is to incorporate a lot of lighting. So sometimes people just say, oh, I just need one accent lamp. Oh, I have overhead light, that's enough. There can never be enough lighting, because you all occupy a room at all different times of day and all different types of circumstances. So when I walked into this room, I was astounded, because of course we had this beautiful window overlooking the famous Bellagio fountain. So of course there was a ton of natural light here in Las Vegas. But not only do we have this natural light, but we have overhead light, we have accent lights, we have sconces, we even have a light in the remote. There are lights galore, and they were really, really intentional about that decision, because no matter what you're doing in the room, there is a light for the occasion. Same thing goes for this little dining nook over here. There is a really nice overhead light. So if I'm focusing and doing work while someone else staying in the room is sleeping, I can have light in one particular area. Not only does lighting add light, but it also adds a ton of character, because lighting is a really easy way to add new shapes to a room. You hear me go on and on about this all the time. You don't want all of your furniture and all of your decorated accents to be the same shape. You can't have a rectangle, 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 rectangle. I know it seems really trivial, but you don't want that many rectangles. You don't know how grand it is when you throw in a circle. I mean, honestly, it makes a huge difference. And lighting is a really easy way to switch it up. And lighting can be really, really affordable to switch out as compared to larger pieces of furniture like beds, tables, and chairs. Let's look at this really beautiful lamp behind me. It is screaming contemporary. It really modernizes a space in an iconic hotel that is a little bit older, because the Bellagio has been around for a while. But this adds a really nice jarring pop of black, and it has these huge spheres. It is a really, really modern, or even mid-century modern look that you aren't used to in a luxury hotel. On the other side of the room, you have an arc lamp that is brass, really nice and luxurious looking. You see these things at our house, Crate and Barrel, Restoration Hardware all of the time. And then it has a marble base, so it is actually introducing a really luxurious stone, and a stone that actually appears in the entryway, throughout the hotel, and especially in that glamorous bath. Now, we already talked about lighting in the room itself, but let's talk about in the bathroom. And again, they don't just have recessed lighting, they have lighting in the vanity, they have the double lights in the main mirror itself, they have lights in the vanity mirror, they also have a chandelier. It is semi-flush mount, but they still have a chandelier in there because it just adds a lot of dimension. You're not relying on one tiny little measly light to light an entire space. It's all about functionality and actually being able to see yourself. I don't know about you, but every time I go to a hotel and I'm trying to put on makeup, I can't see myself, and I come out looking just like not the way that I want to look. And you don't want to have that problem at home too. Again, we want to curate spaces that are functional but also look nice. And there's always that clash, but taking these tips and implementing them is going to help you live so much easier in your space. The next way to achieve the hotel luxury look at home is to be cautious with color. And I know you guys are saying, Kiva, you're allergic to color. Stop. I know, I personally don't integrate that much color into my home, but color is crucial to really making a space come to life. When I talked with both Ben and Matt, they were talking about how you have to be really, really careful to choose colors that are warm and inviting, but aren't too off-putting, right? Because there is a huge difference between neon yellow and then a soft yellow. You have to be really cognizant about how your guest or how you are going to perceive the space when you walk into it. Let's talk about this chair, for example. I love it. First of all, it is super comfortable, and it is orange. It is a really bold pop of color in a room that has a lot of champagne and silver and gold and otherwise very muted tones, because the actual purpose of this room is to reflect water, because Bellagio actually means water. So what they did here is they added this pop of color, but they didn't do it in a way that it was off-putting. It is a pop of color that actually works with all of the other colors in the space. You always have to think about the color wheel, and not only did they integrate this little pop of orange over here, but for the tray that you use to actually unpack your luggage, it also has that same color. But that tray is actually a faux leather or a leather material, while this is velvet. So they mix it up in terms of textures. When you are curating a room, you want to be careful to introduce color, but not make colors the star of the show. For example, there is never a time where you should make a bright blue room with all bright blue accents. But if you want blue to be a color that is really prominent within the room, you're going to choose fabrics with different shades shades of blue, different textures of blue. You're going to integrate it throughout the room, but in a way that isn't overwhelming and is different. When you choose a lot of robust colors, even if they work really well together, it really detracts from the experience because you're not drawn to one specific thing. When you are, again, curating a luxury space, you want people to stop and look at every facet of your design. But when everything is super over the top, you kind of get lost and you're not as interested because you're a little bit more overwhelmed. So while the entire rest of the color palette of this room is fairly muted, this chair really gets your attention, not only with its comfort, but by its really sleek and modern look. Now, this is my absolute favorite takeaway from my interview with the Gettys Group with Ben and Matt. We talked a lot about achieving the luxury look by hiding our electronics. And I don't just mean hiding, your VCR. I don't even know if people have VCRs anymore, but hiding your USB ports and your electric ports, because the fact of the matter is we all love technology. We're always using our laptops, our iPads, our phones, and we have to find a way to charge them. So as we look through this room, we see all of these USB and electric ports in really interesting spaces. So let's look through them. In this dining area, we have the electric port in this arc lamp. So if you're sitting and eating or doing work, you can actually plug into the lamp and you don't have to bend down and plug into the floor. If you are laying in bed and you're winding down or you're watching a movie, there are plugs on both sides, 2 each on each side for the basic electric port and also USBs. Then in the bathroom, they have 2 normal electric ports if you're trying to use a hairdryer or do something like that. And there is even a plug in the additional vanity mirror in the bathroom so that you can charge whatever you're doing or whatever beauty tool you need so that you can see up close and take care of your business. It may seem like overkill, but having all of these things built into all of your furniture prevents you, again, from cluttering up your floor and cluttering up your walls. You don't have to spend hours and hours trying to figure out how to clean up those cords and buying all of those different extension cords. You don't have that problem anymore. One of the main problems with luxury design is that it is impractical. So when you actually integrate these practical things, it's easier to live in the luxury space and therefore maintain it. That is one of the #1 complaints. But if I don't have to go out of my way to charge my phone, I might be more inclined to keep the house looking a little bit more tidy if I have easy access to the things that I need. The next way to achieve that luxury hotel room look at home is to de-emphasize the television. I know this is something that is a huge source of contention here on this channel, but they actually have a novel way to de-emphasize the television that I think you're going to love. For a lot of people, it just is impossible to not make the television the focal point of your house because that's just the way your house is laid out. That's how a lot of houses are designed, and there's nothing you can do about that. But a way to prevent the TV from being the focal point is to add some trim, to add some wainscoting. Here in the double queen suite at the Bellagio, what they did is they added a really nice accent wall of trim behind the television. It is the same color white of the trim that you see all throughout the room, so it didn't introduce a new color, but it added a lot of texture. And there's a framing of the TV with the wainscoting that occurs. It's really, really simple, but it's visually interesting enough that when you're looking throughout the room, the TV is not really what catches your mind. They created a really defined place for the television using something as simple as trim. And while this point may be self-explanatory, it's something that's really important to say. If the entire rest of your room is really interesting and exciting and bold, people are more inclined to spend time looking at that as opposed to the television, so you don't have to worry about the television being the center of the room if there are other things that are going to catch someone's attention. In this room, for example, they had the really beautiful paneling on the bed with a really nice mural behind each individual bed with really intricate molding. It's something that catches your eye and you're drawn to over and over again. So when we first walked into this room, we didn't even notice there was a TV in there, and that's exactly what you want to do when you are designing your space. Now, I was absolutely blown away when Ben and Matt said this. They said that the first thing you really need to think about when you're trying to craft a luxurious place is to think about the B word. And I said, what's the B word? The B word is budget. Your budget is everything when you're trying to craft a luxurious space because you want to invest your money in the thing that is going to wow people. Of course, you can spend money on every single little thing, but we're here for the luxe look for less people because this is DIY with KB. So what you want to do first is write out all the things you want, your wants, your needs, needs, your all of that good stuff, and then talk about what's going to pack the biggest punch, and that's where we're going to invest. In this room, I don't know where they put their money, but that gorgeous mirror in the bathroom wows me every time I walk in there, and that was worth the investment. And in my opinion, the absolute best way to achieve that luxury hotel room look at home is to ensure that you have repetition. You need repetition because you need to establish a theme. So let's talk about these hotel rooms. Bellagio is, of course, inspired by the small community, the village of Bellagio, located on Lake Como in Italy. There is a lake, therefore water is really important, and they've really drawn inspiration from the water here at Bellagio Hotel. Of course, you're familiar with the iconic Bellagio fountain, so there's water just outside of the rooms, but they really wanted to incorporate that inside. So there are in fact 14 elements or odes to water throughout this room that Ben and Matt made sure to integrate. And I told them when I was speaking with them, I said I'd look for all 14, and I'm still counting because they're not all in your face. And that's the really important thing about repetition. You are repeating colors or textures or elements of a theme, but they're not all identical. So this room actually has a ton of brass in it. There is brass in the lamp in the dining area. There is brass on the dining table. You find brass on the side table that sits to the left of this beautiful chair here. There is brass in the media console or the mini bar area. There's even brass in the lighting in the bathroom, and there's brass on the sconce in between the two beds. But when I came into this room, I wasn't like, oh, it's so gaudy, there's so much brass, because there are different sheens of the brass, there are different tones of brass. It is really subtle, and it's not all put in one place. Same thing with the water elements. Let's actually talk through them. So the water element, obviously, that stands out to you most when you walk into this room are these beautiful murals above both of the beds. It is really nice and wavy. You see elements of blue and gray and white, a lot of earth tones. You even see elements of water in a piece of artwork right beside the bed, and it isn't actually water at all. It is a watercolor. So you're still thinking about water because of the pattern water makes in art, but it doesn't have the blue in it. It's not totally in your face. Same thing in the painting that you see right above me. It has blue and green in it, but it's very blocky, it's very contemporary, but it's still incorporating those earth tones that you think of when you think of Lake Como and Bellagio itself. Okay guys, that's it for today's video. Those were several ways on how to achieve the hotel room look at home. I'm telling you, my experience at Bellagio was amazing. Not only are the rooms so comfortable, but I learned so much about what goes into design. So thank you to Bellagio and to the Gettys Group for taking the time to speak with me. If you liked today's video, please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and check me out on Instagram. And until next time, have a beautiful day.